Hello, Taurus. This is your reading for December 8th, the week of December 8th, or a little earlier or later, depending upon when it resonates with you. And it may not resonate with all of you. I don't expect it will. Taurus, we are at a point in time now where a lot of things are changing, as you know. If you're listening to this channel, you know. And I heard certain words come through as I was anticipating doing this reading today. I heard gently, softly, with clarity and determination. And the feeling that I was getting, Taurus, is that there are a lot of thoughts and feelings and memories that are running through you. And some of them you're probably very critical of because you don't like being or jealous or offended or any of those emotions. But we all have varying different degrees of those things. So if they're coming up for you, you're being asked to be gentle with yourself. Treat yourself softly. Allow yourself to anchor into that determination that you are going to take care of yourself well, with kindness. And that you are going to allow yourself to clearly see what is coming up with this mosaic of emotions that you might be going through. Now, I did not know the nature of this full moon, which is actually happening tonight, until after I pulled the cards. I looked it up, and what they were saying is it's our chance to take inventory of our mental and emotional patterns. So it makes sense to me that what I was seeing was all of these emotions swirling around you. But what I'm also seeing is you catching yourself going, oh, I just did it again. I just started another fight in my head. Okay, that's really interesting. Now, why did I do that? What's that about? Well, so-and-so did this, and it wasn't very that. Well, okay, but what's really underneath that sense of being affronted or offended? Well, as you ask that, you might find yourself getting in touch with something a lot deeper, which is that inner child energy that might still be there, connected to a current situation or a recurring theme, a recurring pattern. So if you've got a recurring pattern come up, I know mine, I have one, and that I will do often when I'm getting nervous or anxious, or if I'm in a situation where I'm, driving through snowstorms and it's pitch black, I will sometimes find myself going into negative almost to get the adrenaline going to keep me alert. But the key is what's coming up in those moments. So what you're being reminded of is, if those energy patterns or if those themes are coming up, if you have a tendency to get triggered into that kind of energy that you experience as emotion in those thought things you do, you're being asked to look at that and say, what is the next layer? And what's beneath that? And what's beneath that? And what's beneath that? And if you're willing to work with your inner child, and do some shadow work with that, it's really a great way to just start asking questions, saying, oh, that was that. Well, am I really upset because of this? Or what would my inner child say about that? Oh my God. Okay, now all of a sudden it's got a feeling quality to it that is really, really vulnerable, but it allows you to get to the deeper energy where many of these themes are anchored. Okay, it can bring you to a core belief. Now, the other thing that you're being told about is during this period of time, as you're looking at, mental and emotional patterns, you also get to understand a lot of why they've developed, not just from the inner child point of view, but because of the values that you were raised with. So, for example, if you were taught that just by watching, say, for example, you watched your parents work really, really hard, but never get ahead. You can grow up with the core belief that you have to work hard and it's not going to help, right? You might not know that's a core belief. That's not something anybody would usually say, oh yes, of course, I believe that. I believe I have to work hard and it's never, ever going to get better. That's all. I know, of course, that's the truth. You may not know it, but that might be underneath motivating you. So what you're being told here is, what are your current values now? Okay, I get this now. What are your current values now? What do you think is valuable in your life? What do you think it's worth working for? And what do you hold as something you would like to either maintain or achieve? How does that compare to what you saw growing up or what you were taught growing up? Because this is where you get to suddenly say, oh yeah, who says so? And why can't I do it differently? So you get to be able, as soon as you start noticing the discrepancies between what you're doing and the old way of doing things, or the old values that were motivating you, what you get to do is you get to start saying, you start questioning yourself, and you can run down a list. Do I believe that? Well, no, I don't. Okay, now you can look at, where's that anchored? Can you just bring that to consciousness? Because often, just as you bring it to consciousness and you feel it and you let it move through your body without either blaming or exaggerating and making it dramatic or wonderful or noble, as long as you can allow it to come to the surface consciously, gently, calmly, softly, then you can breathe through it. And by doing that, what you do is you notice whatever the problem is that is stopping you from living what is valuable to you, because you get the emotions that have perhaps held that old belief system in there that carries its own energy and can hijack the new ones that you want to do. Now, there are a lot of different ways that you can work with the inner child, work with the shadow. There's a lot of free stuff on the internet. If there's a lot of trauma there, Taurus, I really, really encourage you to get some guidance with that. You might feel you really need help with it. All right. Again, and I'm feeling like there's a lot of childhood stuff here, because you get the childhood prayers card, and within the context of these other things here, what I'm really getting is that going back to your childhood is where you give up, you lose what you don't need, and it liberates you into being able to imagine the feelings. Because as you let go of the feelings and the hurt feelings and the sad feelings, you reclaim that energy now. You reclaim that energy that is no longer holding that emotion in the unconscious or locked in the body tissues. So you have access to that energy now, but also the transmutation of that aberrant energy, the aberrant energy that is anything contradictory to the reality of who we are as powerful individual divine beings. You reclaim that too. So that can be one of the reasons why, and it's a new day, Taurus, that can be one of the reasons why, as we're going through big transitions, and this goes for any sign, when we're going through big transitions, we can feel heavy, lethargic, hopeless, like it's never going to change. We can have real emotional outbursts because these things are coming to the surface as our frequencies are changing. As our frequencies are changing, the things that are contradictory to that higher level of energy, it's going to come to the surface because it needs to be transmuted. It needs to be let go of. So it's happening at a physical and an energetic level, and it's happening at a psychological and spiritual level, okay? But you've got, this is beautiful. Now, the last card that you got, abandonment isn't just the experience of being left. It carries with it a much deeper sense of desertion, of being left vulnerable without the support or tools we need in order to survive either emotionally or physically. Listen, this is something, abandonment, my gosh, that can be a really, really key emotion that causes any sign. But I'm going to say really strongly with the earth signs to tighten up and contract, because that's the nature of earth anyway. And what can happen if one does not, as a child, feel empowered or feel as though the adults who are taking care of them have the ability to make the environment feel stable? That can create a whole lot of need in that child to got to tighten up, got to take care. In their mind, it's like, okay, I've got to do this. Whatever that means in that child language, it can really create that sense of must do it on my own, must do it myself. And that is something that actually takes us away from connection to our inner spirit, because that's coming out of a fear in the ego state, saying, as a child, of course, what else do we know? Not too many children know to pray and to invoke guardian angels and to really work at an energetic level. So what they'll do is, with their little egos, is they'll toughen up and they'll get on with life and they'll make things work, because that's the only way they can allow themselves to feel safe. Now, part of what you're being taught to do, or you're being encouraged to do, is to show yourself how you can let go of that belief, because the abandonment isn't really about anything other than being disconnected from our higher self. It's the belief that we're disconnected from our higher self that gets mirrored in the family situation often, or could be even in a marriage situation or couple situation or sibling situation. But there's that's the mirror of the first the first loss, which is the sense of being disconnected from source. In this case, it's being disconnected from yourself. This is how you get to connect back, by doing all the things that we just talked about, and I won't repeat, but I will encapsulate quickly. You are in a process, as the energy changes, to raise your vibration. And as you are raising your vibration, what will happen is you'll be able to identify the situations that have been holding you back. You'll be able to identify the emotions that are linked to that old story, so that you can choose to let them go. You have got a new day. You've got risk success. You've got childhood prayers, problem or solution. You've got everything here that says, Taurus, you're not just that you can do this, but you're already doing this. Many of you are already doing this. Whether you actually see it as a spiritual or psychological exercise, many of you have already been doing this. And this is part of why you've been growing and growing and growing a lot. This feels really foundational. And of course, this is a perfect time to be able to get rid of all that sense of abandonment, that sense of shame, that sense of other people telling you what your truths were or should be. This is you, my dears. This is you saying, it is a new day, and this is what I choose. I choose to lose, and to lose what I need to lose in order to liberate myself. Okay? My friends, I leave you with that. Happy full moon. And of course, this lasts for a period of time after. So, and it's kind of what we're all doing now, just in different stages. I leave you with that. Take good care. Softly, gently, with clarity and determination. Okay? Take care.